The year grows more violent in Louisville. WDRB asked city leaders, is it time for change?
My next question was, given statements from the FOP and the city council about concerns with your leadership, Chief Conrad, do you feel that your job is in jeopardy?
Well, let me answer that. Who the police chief is depends on who I said is the police chief.
Heading into the weekend, one of the big stories will be finally clearing the clouds when we get back into near 60 degrees and a lot of rain in your future. Who could see over 2 inches and when next?
Floats, fireworks, and Santa will take you to light up Louisville.
She was America's mom who always gave good advice.
Here's the way I feel about it, Larry. If you're not having fun, you shouldn't be there.
Saying goodbye to the Indiana-born and Kentucky-bred Florence Henderson.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. I'm David Scott.
And I'm Adrienne Flores. 2 lives cut short by the Thanksgiving Day shootings at Shawnee Park.
The coroner tells us tonight one victim is 26 years old. Michael Carter was hit several times and died of multiple gunshot wounds.
The other person fatally shot, 32-year-old William McGee. The coroner says he died of a single gunshot wound. WDRB's Kyle Mitchell explains today we also learned that more people were hit by bullets than originally thought.
On Thanksgiving Day, Shawnee Park is typically the scene of a relaxing day of football for families.
The Juice Bowl.
But this year, it became a crime scene.
Officers responded to Shawnee Park on a report of multiple people who had been shot.
Oh my God! I saw one guy laid out. He was still alive, and there's another guy over there dead. So, like I said, he was shot in the head.
Initially, police thought 6 people had been shot, 2 fatally. But Friday afternoon, LMPD shared that another person was hit in the chaos.
So we have a total of 7 victims from the shooting incident in Shawnee Park.
Police say a dispute took place in another part of the park and someone started shooting. The horror of it happening right in front of families, some of them with young children.
Guy fell, and I went over there to see if I could assist him, but once I got there, I saw that his brains were blowed out.
Police will not say if there are more than one shooter, only that those firing guns were with an outside group.
But it appears that the shooting took place away from that incident and is not related at all to the Juice Bowl.
Video of the scene appearing on Facebook Live, capturing the sound of gunshots. Investigators are taking a close look at the footage, saying it could help with the investigation. LMPD is hoping more people will come forward with videos or information.
We welcome additional information. We need additional help, but I know that our community will help step up and do what's right.
Kyle Mitchell, WDRB News.
It has been 45 years since Louisville has seen such high homicide numbers. Yesterday's shooting drove Jefferson County's murder rate to 112, surpassing the 1971 record of 110.
WDRB's Jessica Bard questioned Louisville's mayor and police chief about why it's gotten so bad and how they plan to reduce the violence. Plus, what they say to families who think criminal behavior has become a normal part of life in Louisville.
Why do you think there has been so much violence in our community this year in particular?
When you take a look at the violent crime in our city, just like all over the country, it usually has a couple things involved. One is illegal drug activity, and 2 is improper use of guns and people's inability to solve problems. So that's an issue. Domestic violence is an issue. Then you have kind of random violence like we saw yesterday that is just not helpful. It's a real national epidemic.
First and foremost, almost 50% of the shootings we've seen have been happening in about 11 neighborhoods in our community. No one wants to have their neighborhood labeled, but we consider these neighborhoods hotspots, and we are focusing our patrol efforts in these 11 neighborhoods in particular. We have identified a number of people that we believe are involved in actually pulling the triggers or having someone else pull the triggers to further their criminal activities. We are working actively with our federal partners, the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, and the United States Marshal's Office, to try to arrest these people, to hold them accountable for the criminal activity that they're involved in. And the third thing that we're trying to do is focus more energy and more efforts on narcotics trafficking and to disrupt the narcotics trafficking that we're seeing in our city. We have had a number of our homicides this year where we may not necessarily know the motive for the homicide, but there is evidence at the scene or information that is developed during our investigation leads us to believe that homicide was caused by someone buying drugs, selling drugs, or trying to rob someone in the process of doing one of those two things.
My next question was, given statements from the FOP and the City Council about concerns with your leadership, Chief Conrad, do you feel that your job is in jeopardy?
Well, let me answer that. Who the police chief is depends on who I said is the police chief. The police chief, Conrad, has my full support. We're hiring a record number of police officers this year and have 28 more coming with a mid-year adjustment that is being presented to the council. So I feel they will approve that expeditiously. What's important is that people get behind the plan that we have and support that plan. Now's not a time when people should be second-guessing or blaming. This isn't a problem of increased violence just in our city. It's happening all over the country. So the best way for us to move forward is to support a good plan, give a reorganization time to work, and work on reducing crime in our community. The chief's responsible for that.
My next question, I interviewed Neil Robertson from the West Louisville Coalition last night, and I asked him specifically, how do you feel that children yesterday saw that violent crime happen right before their eyes? He looked me dead in the eye and said, they're used to it by now. How do you feel that people in your city think that that's normal behavior?
Anytime that people think violence is normal in a community is a symptom of a larger sickness in the community. From a public health perspective, we look at this as people are learning from the environment that they grow up in. And if it's a violent environment and they think violence is normal, or they see that as part of the culture that we live in, that's a problem. And that's not just a problem in Louisville, that's a problem all over our country right now. That's why we try to attack this problem through our safe and healthy neighborhoods perspective, to surround the kids with positive influences. If they're not getting it from their family or somewhere else, we have to try to provide that. And when I say we, I mean everybody in the community. It's not people looking at it, government, and saying this is government's problem or it's the church's problem. We can only move forward when everyone says it's a problem that they're going to get personally involved with. So for people to act like this isn't a problem is disingenuous. For people to say there's no plan, that's wrong. What we need is people to say, here's how I can help.
Jessica Bard tonight. You can see her entire interview with the mayor and police chief by heading to our website, WDRB.com.
So you didn't shoot anybody today? You're certain? Yes, because you understand people got shot tonight.
Police interviews made public what suspects claim led to the Pegasus Parade shooting as indictments are handed down.
Louisville is the latest stop for a deadly batch of heroin. Tonight, local doctors are sounding an unprecedented alarm.
Plus, is it the biggest break yet? A stunning announcement by police after an all-day search in the case of missing mom, Crystal Rogers.
Wednesday features some thunderstorms as a cold front moves across the area. When you should expect those storms in your area and the impacts this front has to the Labor Day weekend next.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Lindsay Allen.
And I'm David Scott. We begin tonight with a WDRB News alert, an unprecedented decision by local ER physician to hold a late-night press conference.
WDRB's Kyle Mitchell is live tonight with a look at why a sudden spike in heroin overdoses has them issuing a warning. Kyle?
There have been 24 confirmed cases in just the past several hours. Now, one doctor we spoke with here at Norton Hospital says he has seen 8 cases in just 5 hours. Him alone has seen that. The hospital says an extremely potent drug is causing the spike in cases. Doctors are having to use large doses of naloxone to counteract the effects. Once a person stops breathing, doctors have just 4 to 6 minutes to avoid permanent brain damage. One ER doctor in Louisville says he's worked in the field more than 30 years and has never seen a sudden increase like this.
It's very unusual to see this many. We've heard warnings from other cities in the region that they're seeing large numbers, but we really hadn't seen that until today.
Doctors believe much of this drug might be coming from Cincinnati. Reporting live from Norton Hospital, Kyle Mitchell, WDRB News.
Kyle, thank you. We are getting a look inside the interrogation room hours after the Pegasus Parade shooting. The 2 teens charged with firing shots at the parade have now been identified in court documents.
And WDRB's Carl Mann joins us live tonight, revisiting the site where the shooting took place. Carl?
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. Coach Rick Pitino talking about the sex scandal surrounding U of L's basketball program when he says the school will learn the results of the NCAA investigation.
The state education commissioner calls the situation dire. Coming up, the steps he's taking to save two struggling JCPS schools.
Arrested twice for assault and harassment. What the lawyer for an LMPD officer told a judge today.
We go from highs in the 80s tomorrow to lows in the 40s later on this week. When to expect the chill, plus timing out our next opportunity for some rain.
And registering to vote at the drive-thru, the unique effort to make sure everyone has a voice.
This election is important to everyone, but especially to those of us and people of color.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. I'm David Scott.
And I'm Lindsay Allen. Rick Pitino talks sex scandal during U of L's basketball media day.
WDRB Sports Director Tom Lane was at U of L today as the coach talked about the ongoing NCAA investigation into the program and a possible timetable. Tom?
Yeah, Rick Pitino and each of the players I asked about it said the NCAA investigation is not a factor and not having an effect on their preparations for this season. And while Pitino said he certainly doesn't know for sure, he believes there may not be a final answer on this investigation for quite a while to come.
You know, I think once the notice of allegations come out, then the school will comment on all that. We haven't even got to that point yet. Look, this is going to probably, I know you probably know it better than me, it's probably going to go to June or July before we resolve this. And that's probably a lot quicker than North Carolina and Syracuse went through. So it's probably going to be June and July before we get closure on this. But as far as our basketball team is, we have full closure with this.
The players are excited about playing faster this season. They discussed that a bit in sports.
All right, Tom, we'll see you then. Two Jefferson County public schools are failing so badly, the state of Kentucky is stepping in.
Officials say they simply can't sit back and watch this any longer. In a story you'll see only on WDRB tonight, Lawrence Smith explains what the state is doing to rescue the schools.
The schools are Maupin and Wellington Elementaries, and the state's education commissioner says the situation is so dire, he's launching an intervention. Maupin Elementary is the lowest performing school in the state. Last year, less than 18% of students were proficient in reading. This year, that score dropped 5 points. The news even worse in math, the score plummeting from 17% to just below 9%. At Wellington, the scores are not as low, but they've been declining. A drop of more than 2 points in reading proficiency from last year and more than 12 points in math. The state's education commissioner says it's time to take action.
It's a pretty dire situation. I mean, there's something that needs to be done and something pretty significantly.
Pruitt says he plans to send in the troops. Each school will undergo a top-to-bottom assessment of its leadership, curriculum, and faculty. The state will then recommend a turnaround plan.
And they are going to have to subject themselves to some type of school turnaround to ensure that we're providing the education for these kids that they deserve.
JCPS Superintendent Donna Hargan says she welcomes the state intervention.
We know that there is work to be done there, but those are things that we had identified already. So this is an opportunity for them to learn from a diagnostic review.
Maupin has been part of the Districts of Innovation program, giving JCPS flexibility to experiment with new programs. I asked Harkins if this means the experiment is failing.
Things don't happen overnight, so there is no quick results. There's no silver bullet.
But Pruitt says he simply cannot afford to wait.
We do try to pride ourselves in being a service and a partner to our districts and schools first, but there's also that compliance part of it that we have to ensure that kids are getting what they need.
WDRB.com education reporter Tony Kahns goes in depth about what this intervention means and the steps the state can take to try to turn the schools around. You can see that story right now on WDRB.com. In the newsroom, Lawrence Smith, WDRB News.
A Louisville police officer accused of domestic violence against his wife pleads not guilty.
Desmond Moore was arrested for the second time on Friday for violating conditions of his release and harassing communications. He was arrested in September on assault charges. Moore did not show up in court today. Rather, his attorney entered the not guilty plea for him. Police say Moore's wife awoke to find him standing over her while she was in bed last week. Moore has been placed on administrative reassignment at LMPD.
A man accused of murder in Louisville is mistakenly released from the Pike County Jail. Terrence Moore Jr. and his brother Kentry Moore are accused in the shooting death of 21-year-old Tyrone Booker Jr. Moore was recently in the Pike County Jail to face robbery accusations. Officials there say no holding papers were filed through the State Department of Corrections, so he was released.
I'm very surprised today that my client had been released. And it really, what does, it sets me back again, because in the meanwhile, we really don't know when he's going to avail himself to court.
A warrant has since been issued for Moore's rearrest.
Surveillance video captures the moment a man was murdered last night in southern Jefferson County.
WDRB's Katrina Helmer reveals what happened seconds before and after gunshots were fired.
Customers come and go all day long at the Dealmaster Food Mart on Blevins Gap Road near Dixie Highway. But Monday night, around 10 o'clock, police tape roped off the parking lot where a man was found shot in a car. The coroner says 58-year-old David House, who lived in the area, died later that night at the hospital.
Do you have a lot of trouble over here?
Scott Middleton lives nearby and comes to the store every week.
I didn't hear anything, so I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry to hear anything happened.
Surveillance cameras lined the outside of the store, and an employee says they captured everything. He can't release the footage, but says it shows a person shooting House and then getting into a different car and driving off.
This is a bad neighborhood.
This woman brought her friend to the convenience store and wants to remain anonymous.
I come over here for her to take her places. And I don't feel safe myself coming over here, because you never know if I'm going down the road, somebody's going to shoot.
She moved away 2 years ago because she says the area was getting too dangerous.
We couldn't even come out our door unless somebody's out here wanting to fight you or kill you or shoot you or whatever.
An employee at the Food Mart says this is the first time anything like this has ever happened at the store.
There's no car.
Well, lots of sunshine out there now, but there are storm clouds on the horizon.
Meteorologist Rick DeLuca with a look ahead. Rick, we can use the rain.
We could use a little bit of rain. That is the truth. Our chances, however, not looking very healthy in the coming days, although we have a couple peppered throughout that 7-day forecast. Today, no rain. I know you woke up this morning, stepped outside, looked up, saw those clouds and thought, oh, do I need the umbrella? Well, you didn't. We kept it dry, and those clouds quickly fell apart, leading us to lots of sunshine this afternoon and some summer-like warmth. Highs today made it to around 79 degrees, definitely not feeling like October at all. We're currently sitting at 77, south wind at 10 miles an hour across Jefferson County, more 70s as far as the eye can see, and the same story for the rest of Kentucky, and numbers between 73 and 78. Stormview HD showing the mostly sunny skies, a few passing clouds overnight, otherwise mostly clear, cool, and comfortable. Yet again, temperatures will start to fall from the 70s where we are right now. Once that sun sets at 7:10, back down to 75 degrees at 7 o'clock, upper 60s to near 70 by 9, and then quiet and mild first thing tomorrow morning, waking up to low temperatures in the 50s. I'll talk about exactly when a big change arrives, because we're going to go from highs in the 80s tomorrow to low temperatures in the 40s, plus timing out our next chance for some rain.
Nice weather can't last forever. We know that. Thank you, Rick. Well, today was the deadline to register to vote in the upcoming election.
WDRB's Stefan Johnson tells us why it's still not too late for you to help make a difference, even if you missed the deadline. Stefan?
Today, the Urban League, the NAACP, and behind me, the county clerk's office registered hundreds of voters. But even if you missed today's deadline, there's still something you can do to help increase voter turnout.
Register to vote.
It is nonstop action in front of the Louisville Urban League on West Broadway.
Everybody's vote counts. I just wish that everybody get out here. I rushed straight off from work to get out here.
In the last few days, the Urban League and NAACP have registered hundreds of voters.
I heard on the radio for like the last 3 days, they've really been pressing it from B96 to 101.3.
Voters like Kevin Pichel, who recently moved and wants to make sure his voice and vote count in the November elections.
I just want to make sure my paperwork and everything was in order.
Workers spent Tuesday afternoon registering voters on foot, in cars, and even on TART buses.
We've registered 200 people here today, just on Broadway.
Sadiqa Reynolds is president and CEO of the Urban League and says even if you miss Tuesday's deadline, you can still help increase voter turnout.
If for whatever reason you cannot vote, you can still volunteer. Take other people to the polls, make sure they get there.
This election is important to everyone, but especially to those of us and people of color.
Raul Cunningham is president of the NAACP and says Republican, Democrat, or Independent, your vote is crucial.
Voting will determine the direction that the nation will go in these next 4 years.
Chappelle Pod, the Big Homie, broadcasting live from 16th and Broadway.
That's why even the urban radio stations are dedicating their airtime and talent to the cause.
Kind of scary jumping out their cars, hey, big homie, and things like that. So it's just great to see that what we do actually hits the community other than, just a major event.
And now that you've registered to vote, you can go to the county clerk's office and pull up one of these sample ballots. It makes it very easy for you, and it also tells you who is on the ballot, so there are no surprises on Election Day. Live at the county clerk's office, I'm Stefan Johnson, WDRB News.
All right, Stefan, thank you. Yum Brands is staying in Louisville. That's according to the company's CEO. Greg Creed told investors today that Yum is not going to be, in his words, shutting down the company's Louisville headquarters. Yum is the parent of KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. Its division in China is about to become a separate company. Yum also plans to cut its expenses as it shifts more restaurants to franchisees. After all the planned moves, about 800 corporate jobs will stay in Louisville as part of this shift. WDRB.com business reporter Chris Otts has more about what Yum executives said in New York today. You can find that story on our website.
The little girl from Florida, taken from her family this weekend, is now back with her parents. This video shows 4-year-old Rebecca Lewis happy and safe. She's seen there running into the arms of a Memphis, Tennessee police officer after a very scary 2 days. Police say the child was taken from her family Saturday by 31-year-old West Wild Hogs. An employee at a Memphis hospital called police yesterday after recognizing the child and Hogs from an Amber Alert. When officers arrived, they found the pair in a car leaving a parking garage. As you can imagine, news that the girl was found was just what her worried parents needed to hear.
Joy.
My heart sunk.
Joy.
And joy.
That he did not hurt her and he did what we asked, take her to a safe place.
We're excited. Anytime we can recover a baby from all information we receive now, healthy and well, and the guy responsible for it's locked up, it's a great day.
Investigators say it's not yet clear why Hogs took the girl, but his family told police he suffers from depression and a bipolar disorder. He lived with the Lewis family when Rebecca was just an infant. Hogs was asked to leave after threatening them with a gun.
Louisville seeing a dramatic rise in car accidents, more crashes and more fatalities. Why every driver in the city could end up paying the price.
It may look odd, but this interchange may actually save lives. Where it's being put locally and how exactly it will work.
Any rain so far this month, but that could change in the next 36 hours when this cold front delivers the chance for some showers, plus when to expect low temperatures back down through the 40s.
3:33 at McDonald's. Ah, the taste of success. Fine dining is
The most violent year on record in Jefferson County. WDRB sits down with Louisville's police chief and mayor to ask why and what needs to be done.
What's important is that people get behind the plan that we have and support that plan. Now's not a time when people should be second-guessing or blaming.
Shoulder to shoulder in a show of support for a Bardstown family who's endured more than most can imagine. We will show you how the community paid the respects to Tommy Ballard.
The tree is lit and Santa has arrived. We'll take you to all the highlights of Light Up Louisville.
And he's one fast food restaurant worker that no one should mess with. Now this started and ended.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Adrienne Flores.
And I'm David Scott. Jefferson County reaches a new record for homicides, and it came on of all days, the holiday when we give thanks. And the gunman or gunmen are still on the loose tonight.
Police now say 7 people were shot, 2 of them killed yesterday during some kind of dispute at Shawnee Park. It came during the Juice Bowl, a family football Thanksgiving tradition in another part of the park. 26-year-old Michael Carter and 32-year-old William McGee were both killed.
There were many people out there, and we've talked to many people, so we welcome additional information. We need additional help, but I know that our community will help step up and do what's right.
Police won't say if there was more than one shooter, only that whoever was shooting was with an outside group.
Meanwhile, the group behind the Juice Bowl, the West Louisville Urban Coalition, says yesterday's violence will not keep that tradition from continuing. In fact, the group says those kinds of events are going to help turn things around in the city.
I mean, if we got to get more police to put up there, we will. If we got to stop the bikers from running up there, we will. So if we got to separate the whole thing, we're going to do that. But for someone to come and talk about the Juice Bowl and the history of it to just kill it, we ain't going for it.
Organizers also say the Juice Bowl is an event for the entire city and not just the West End, and that in the decades that it's been going on, there's never been a fight connected to the event itself. Now, Mayor Fisher and LMPD Chief Steve Conrad right there spoke with WDRB's Jessica Bard about the Thanksgiving Day violence.
People were kind of looking for leadership last night, and do you think that you gave the appropriate leadership last night?
Well, we put out numerous statements last night, which I think was important and set the tone for the event. And the investigation was ongoing as well. The important thing is that we have a plan. We continue to work the plan. We bring in federal resources to ask them to take a look at our plan. They all give us the same kind of advice, which is to keep doing what you're doing, double down, bring the community in as well. So, I mean, this is one with day-to-day efforts, not big speeches or big pronouncements. It's hard work. If it was easy, it would already be done.
Chief Conrad, this question is for you. What are concrete examples of things that you're doing and your department is doing to decrease these crimes?
You know, we have been coming at violent crime in our community from 3 basic directions. First and foremost, almost 50% of the shootings we've seen have been happening in about 11 neighborhoods in our community. No one wants to have their neighborhood labeled, but we consider these neighborhoods hotspots, and we are focusing our patrol efforts in these 11 neighborhoods in particular. We are supplementing their work with members of the 9th Mobile Division who are focusing their efforts in on these neighborhoods as well. We have identified a number of people that we believe are involved in actually pulling the triggers or having someone else pull the triggers to further their criminal activities. We are working actively with our federal partners, the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, and the United States Marshal's Office, to try to arrest these people, to hold them accountable for the criminal activity that they're involved in. And the third thing that we're trying to do is focus more energy and more efforts on narcotics trafficking and to disrupt the narcotics trafficking that we're seeing in our city.
And you can see Jessica's entire video with the Louisville mayor and police chief. Just head over to our website.